back to the show, and I'm with Colleen Yates from RDA. Colleen, thanks for coming into the show.
Thank you.
RDA, I mean, some people go, okay, another acronym, is it a government department, who's he got in there? Can you tell us a little bit about the RDA?
Sure enough. RDA stands for Regional Development Australia.
Okay.
And as mentioned, it looks after regions. So there's 55 of us across Australia, and we each look after a very specific region. For us, we're RDA Perth, and
Right.
so we look after the Perth metropolitan area and the 29 local governments that sit within that space.
Wow.
So yeah, it's we work across the three tiers of government, so local government, state government, and federal government, and
Yes.
we identify issues and needs of the regions,
Yeah.
communicate that back to the Commonwealth, but also try and bring what the Commonwealth is doing and communicating that back to the region.
Well, that sounds huge. How do you end up in a job doing that? Because you're the CEO, I believe.
That's correct.
Yeah. How did you end up there?
I've been in regional development for over 14 years. So I had when I first moved to Australia, I lived down in the Denmark area, the Great Southern region,
Yes.
worked with the Development Commission down there a long time ago, and then went on to actually become an employee of the Peel Development Commission
Yes.
back in 2004, and I worked with them for 9 years, eventually becoming the CEO of the Peel, and then stopped that job and decided to take on a much bigger challenge of the Perth region, so which has never had regional development applied, because most people think that metropolitan areas are they're not really considered regions, but technically they are. They are a
Yes.
metropolitan region.
So you've come from, let's say, like a better word, some smaller organisations, and now you've got this huge beast that you've got to look after.
That's correct.
What are some of the challenges you've come across in stepping into this role?
Working across 29 local governments is a huge challenge.
Everyone's going, I don't envy you.
Oh my God, because they all have their particular needs and outcomes that they'd like to achieve, and they're very competitive with each other. I do think that the amalgamation process that was underway a few years ago has woken them up a little bit, and that they realize that working together to achieve outcomes is probably a better way to go. So we've got a number of projects that we've worked with across local government, and then we take that conversation to the state government as well. And then we go to Canberra and we present on our findings.
I can imagine there's a lot of business people, we have a lot of business people watch our show, and people in all different organisations. What skill sets, I mean, what do you find works best for you to make sure there's a cohesive communication between all those groups? Because that's going to be really tricky.
I do have I'm a certified neuro-linguistic programming person,
Yeah.
so which is all about communication and getting even disparate groups to come together, and even if it's to agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Okay, so because at the end of the day, the outcomes need to be achieved, and so we have to work through the issues in order to identify those outcomes, then achieve them. So it's a process. To sit here and explain how you do that, it's a whole nother show. But yes,
It could be fascinating. An NLP expert in the room talking about that would be fantastic. So, as a CEO, where do you want to see RDA for us going now? You're in Perth. What are you going? Okay, this is what we're about, and this is really what we want to do for this particular region.
For us, it's about creating new business investment and job growth for the region. So our mandate is economic development. So it's looking after those projects and those initiatives that are going to drive those two things. So, and because we're arm's length from government, we can actually sometimes say things that may not always be in agreement, but our mandate is the region. So that's what we're looking after.
Fantastic. And I know we're going to get a couple of guests on the show. You're going to interview some people and talk about the different things that you've been doing. For yourself, if you had the number one thing you want to achieve for RDA, and I suppose a lot of people watching go, come on, what is it?
Well, I think we have achieved it over the past 4 years that I've been in the position. We've raised the profile of RDA. So we're actually recognized as an organization similar to our counterparts across the rest of the state.
Yeah.
And we've achieved some really fantastic outcomes, and the hope is to continue doing that.
And we're going to play a little bit of the video because I've seen one of the videos that you actually had put together showing all the different things you've done and some of the plans you've got coming forward. When you're dealing, you have obviously a team that you work with, but for a lot of business people, they go, oh, I've got to have everything in-house, but you outsource as well, don't you?
We do, most of what we do is outsourcing.
Right.
So that's working across the region, and that in itself is driving business investment
Yes.
and job growth. So and so we have a number of partners that we work with, and I hope to speak about them at other
Yes.
intervals of the show and bring them on and talk about what we do with them.
Fantastic. It's been great chatting with you today. I know one of the shows that I'd say, if you do get a chance to watch it, you're going to be talking to Cameron, who's very much into infrastructure. And I've met Cameron myself before, and he's a fascinating guy. So it's been a great pleasure. Make sure you check that out. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you're going to have lots of shows coming up on YouTube now.
That's correct.
So make sure
We're moving into the space.
you're moving into the space, and make sure you hit that subscribe button, hit the little bell or the super subscribe so you'll get notified of all the up and coming videos from the RDA. Once again, Colleen, thank you so much for coming in.
Great.